The impact of canals was that it spurred on a massive amount of canal building because it was so effective in transporting heavy goods. The first canals were finished in 1825 in New York, and the canals were used to transport large boats filled with goods. The canals today service the bulk shipping of the world by transporting large shipping ships over vast distances with shortcuts that cut travel time way down. The importance of canals can be measured in how much time it is saved by the building of that specific canal and how often it's used. The good effects were that trade would be able to grow in places that are far from any water, and it was a new, quicker method of transportation. The water could overflow and cause damage around the canal. I do believe the good effects outweighed the bad effects, and that is why they are still being used today. Yes, this invention is still used today, and there are many examples of extremely well-known canals, such as the Panama Canal and the Suez Canal, and many more. The impact of the government-supported roads when they were first introduced is that it gave one more way to cross the country no matter the terrain and quickly. The inventor of the government-supported roads was the government, and they were started around 1950 to 1960. They were used for transportation over long distances and worked by giving vehicles the opportunity to travel on paved roads. The importance of the innovation today is that millions of Americans use the highways to cross the country for commerce or for enjoyment. You evaluate the effectiveness of roads by how many people use the highways per day and how many metric tons of goods are moved. Yes, the innovation is still in use and is updated and fixed when it is needed. The good effect was that they made private transportation easier throughout the country, and the bad effect was that the government supported them so their quality can be good or bad, and they require the people's taxes to maintain the roads. I do, however, believe that they are worth it. Considering that they are still around today, they must have been extremely effective.
The first steamboat was built in 1807 and was named the Clermont. It revolutionized the transportation of goods by ship by making it possible to sail against the current for days on end, improving transport time greatly. The first steamboat was made on August 27, 1807 by John Fitch. Steamboats were used for transportation of goods and travel. It worked great with the steam engine that powers the paddles, which causes the boat to move throughout the water. The steamboat gave way to massive ships that can carry thousands of shipping containers and move massive amounts of goods for thousands of miles. You can evaluate the importance of steamboats by looking at the amount of goods moved in a week by wagon train compared to the steamboat. The steamboats helped to efficiently transport goods and trade. They increased the commercial trading capabilities, and the negative effects were that the self-sufficiency decreased. They were also bad for the environment. I don't believe that steamboats outweighed the negative effects because they are not around here today. The steamboat has been refined into massive ships capable of moving hundreds of thousands of tons of goods.
The impact of the railroad was that it connected countries and made it possible to move something from one side of the country to the other in under a week instead of months of wagon train or carriage. It connected the United States by a network of railways that made it possible to get on a train in New York and be in California by the end of the week, which before was unbelievable. You can evaluate the importance by looking at how much goods were moved after the explosion of the railroads and how much faster goods were transported to their endpoint. Yes, railroads are still in use today, but have been upgraded into a more efficient and more environmentally friendly design. Railroads, the Stephenson Works invented railroads in 1825. Railroads were used for transportation of goods and people. The railroads worked by keeping the train on the tracks and guiding them to wherever they went. The good effects were that they expedited the transportation, made it easier to go across the country. The negative effects, however, were that they polluted the environment and created many of the first big monopolies in the United States. I do think the good effects outweighed the bad effects because, in the end, the railroad helped unite the country as a whole, transportation wise.